Hello everyone, welcome back to another Invader series. Today we will basically look at how to invade Black's Moyo on top. This game is actually played between two professionals, and this is the actual game. And we will mostly be we will mostly not be looking at what is played in the game because uh, the game actually plays out like when White invades here. Black just decided to counter invade, which looks really weird, but actually these are good moves. These are very professional moves, but these are not the moves that I want to present to you guys because they're really hard to understand. Today, I basically prepared this video with the help of AI, and I would like to introduce you some more, I guess, more likely moves that can be played in your game. So, of course, K16 is an excellent invasion point, but I still want you to think about some of the other options. Are there some other options that you would like to you would like to think about and play out in your game? So you can pause the video and think about some of the possible moves, and then when you come back, we'll go through some thought process. So welcome back. Um, Today we will mostly be focusing on tactics. So if you tell me, hey, I want to invade at K17, right? I don't want to invade higher. That is totally fine. If you say, hey, I want a first peep here, that is also very good. These are all excellent ideas, actually. So today is not really too much about ideas, but rather on the strategies of getting yourself out of attacks, right? How do you invade and safely get out? This is our main topic for today. So today we'll be mostly looking at K17, right? So this move is an excellent move. It's aiming at two good points. One is to hop at M17, the other one is to jump at K15. And furthermore, there's a two space extension at G17. So at first glance, this is an excellent move. This is an excellent choice because it has a lot of follow-ups that White can play. Uh, well, but this is all theory. This is all sounds good. But when Black actually plays something like K15, um, what does White do, right? And I'm pretty sure this is a question that you guys ask a lot in your games, and this is a situation that you guys encounter a lot in your games. How do I live here, or how do I even break out of here? It just feels asphyxiating. You're out of breath. Like it's Black plays a move on top of your head, and then you can't breathe. You can't get out. You can't seem to find a way to live. Right. This is a very difficult situation, I think, for most viewers who are watching this video. This is certainly also a very difficult situation for myself, especially if my opponent's really good at reading. These could be these could be situation that decides the game. I could just be losing the game right here. So um, I cannot provide all the tactics because this is very beyond my level. What I can do for you guys is to actually sort of give you guys some hints, give you some sort of thought process as to how to deal with this kind of attack. Like how do you get yourself out, right? So there's usually a few common ways that you can use that will get you out. So well, first let's think about it, right? If we play something like H17, right? Like we'll try to make a base. Well, this has some problems because the next move Black will play L18, right? Black is really strong, so he can go all the way to your second line, and it's not very certain how you gonna really treat this group after these exchanges, right? So So even if black just plays m17, right? It doesn't even have to play l18. Even if a black plays m17, how does white live here? This is a problem. If you go for this kind of things, well, you might not be able to get every center you want, right? Right now, black can just play this one, and unfortunately, uh, it's not so easy to live here, right? If you play, if you just try to live, right? Uh, well, first of all, this is a very miserable way of living. Even if black plays outside and lets you live, that's the most gentle way that black can play. And black should probably just play very simple. Black is able to get a sente, and really, black's every group is fine. On top of that, black has, so we cannot underestimate these three guys, right? The influence that exert towards the outside. So now black can think about a counterattack, and this is actually not a winning game for white at all. This is actually black is going to have the initiative here. So that's actually, if you actually play this and then play the Kosumi, that actually means you play quite well actually. Uh, and um, I'm a bit concerned about my viewers not even being able to play this well and just get killed here. So h17 certainly won't get you killed. This is okay move. But what I want to present is more the move m17. So the difference between them is that when you play h17, the next move, if you try to jump, black has a, so let's just illustrate that. Well, what's the problem, right? What's the difference? If now you hop out, black will just block you, and there's no good way to get out, right? So, but if we play m17 like this, we're aiming at two things. One is to hop out at m15. The other one is to play a two-space extension or a small knight at h18, right? It really depends on you reading. It depends on the situation. Sometimes the two-space extension is good. Sometimes more solid footstep is good. Depends on the reading. But at least we see two things, right? There is some sort of extension we can make. Doesn't matter which one you choose. There's an extension we can make here, and then there is a definitely some sort of weakness in black's formation that is for you to jump out in m15. So that's our first principle of trying to get out, which is to play a move that gives you most options, right? Play a move that that creates more problems for your opponent. It's always great. So this M17 move is excellent because it achieves three things. First, it makes at least one eye here, right? We know there's an eye here. Second, there is a jump out that is creating a lot of weakness in black's sort of net. And the third thing, as I said, there's a move that can allow us to increase our eye space. So this is a very good principle whenever we encounter a very difficult situation like this. We try to make a move, and then obviously in a real tournament or a serious game, you would spend a lot of time to find that move, right? What move gives myself most freedom and also creates the most problem for my opponents? That's our principal one for invading, right? And then by comparison, we realize that m17 would be a lot better than h17. Well, you might have some other questions like, well, why not, g17, right? Like it's these moves are okay, or like the problem with g17 is probably after this, white still needs to figure out how to live here. Same problem. If you try to break out this way, black's not afraid. Black has a lot of stones here, and they have better formation then a breaking point like here. So in that case, trying to break out from this direction is not the best choice. So we found the first move, but this is really not the end of the story, right? So the game is still going on. Um, so here, if black just says, hey, you know what, I'm gonna make sure you are you're capped inside. Well, this is very easy now because white can just play another move, and this is pretty much already alive, right? So this is already pretty good. One space extension is also very good. Potentially, we can think about H16. That's probably even better because now we have one that is to attach and break out. The other move is for us to play G18, and then we're able to make a very nice shape. So, so likely black does not want to play a move like this and then just give white plenty of space to make alive. So black's next move is to play h17. Since you didn't play h17, I'm going to take that spot. This is a very good move. Not only secures some points for himself, but also reduces white's ice space. So the game is still very difficult for white, I would say. Well, not that white win rates is low, but it's more for my viewers who are not very good at breaking out, who are not very good at invading. This could still be a very difficult situation. But don't worry, I will go through the process with you guys and try to teach as many principles as I can, and hopefully it's going to help you guys in your games because every game is different. You might encounter some different type of moyo that requires even more reading. That is even harder to find moves like M17, but the principles will remain the same. So now white has a few choices, right? Like white can say, "Oh, you got rid of the h17. Well, what about your weakness here?" So white can potentially think about hopping out at m15. This is actually a good move. The problem with this move is I'm mostly worried about, well, what if your opponent plays m14, right? And this could cause a little bit of the problem for my viewers, right? Uh, the problem mostly comes from judgment. So here, correct move is for white to actually just sacrifice the stones underneath, and then start building on his own moyo. But I'd say this is not something I would recommend because still, whatever you lost under here is quite huge. And this should be a leading game for white, but I'm not sure how comfortable my viewers are with this kind of sacrifice. So this is not something that I would recommend. So I would recommend you guys a different way of playing. So that's our principle too, right? That is when you are weak, when your group is under attack, it's weak, you try to stick to your opponent as much as possible. So remember, that's our principle too, right? Stick to our opponent's stones as much as possible when you are trying to invade, make a life. So the next move is for us to play h18. This is an excellent move, right? This follows the principle very tightly. We're trying to attach your opponent, and the reason we want to do that is we want to exchange stones with our opponent, right? So let's see what this kind of exchanges do. So if black decides to say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to kill the stone. White will cut, and black will get rid of the stone. So after this exchange, we realize that there is a sente for white here, that is to Atari at h16. So now, with this in mind, white can now go ahead and start breakout. from here. So it doesn't matter. You can also break out from here. That's the same. So white's gonna attach. Black will say you cannot get out. Obviously, black will do whatever it takes to seal this line. And now we can already see that white is still difficult, right? Like if you just try to make yourself alive, you try to do this. First of all, there is not to say there might be some problems in your formation, even if black lets you live, right? Even if black lets you live, once again, black's corner is big. Black's group here is fine. Black has very strong strong influence towards the outside. And now after this, after having this G14 strengthened, now black can start counterattack whatever you have here. So what's gonna end up happening in your game is you might have to invade, and then still be behind in terms of points, and you'll lose the game. So this happens a lot for definitely for low Dan level players. Is that they don't die when they invade, but then they just fall into this vicious cycle of having to invade. The main reason that you have to invade, and then end up losing like 10 points, end up losing the game by 10 points, what I mean, is that when you make your invasion, you manage to live, but you didn't manage to give your opponent most trouble. You didn't manage to create weaknesses in your opponent's formation, and then you were not able to live with most points. These are the main reasons why you will lose, even if you make your invasions live. So this is definitely not something I recommend to you guys, right? Like just back down, like this, saying, hey, you know what, I'm scared. I'm going to start to play all these small moves to make myself alive, just to increase my ice space. And then especially look at the last move. We're playing a move inside our territory just to make a formation that lives. And that's just that's just very sad. That's not a great move. So black would be totally leading if white plays without any courage. So here I would present you the principle 3. So we talk about 3 things. So let's look at the principle 3. That is the idea of counterattack, right? So a lot of times we're under attack. We are the one invading. We're the one being the thief, and our opponent is somehow the cops. And we're just trying to run. We're just trying to run for our lives. That's not a good mindset in a game of Go, right? Counterattack is definitely what makes you a great player, right? If you want to be a great player in the game of Go, you have to tell yourself, I gotta counterattack, I gotta counterattack, I gotta counterattack. I cannot just back down. So let's look how we counterattack, right? So we obviously observe there's a weakness here, but if we directly so before that, before any so how do I put this? So before, if we didn't exchange these things, if we directly play and try to counterattack, there's actually no sort of help because we didn't exchange these kind of attaches. In our scenario, the reason we attach first is we wanted to create weaknesses in black's formation. We have this incentive that makes our counterattack really strong now. So the way you counterattack is to cut and is to break out. So the first move is for white to say, you know what, I'm not the one running all the time. I will cut you off. Very, very important, especially for my viewers who are watching. I've seen so many games online where people just don't counterattack. So once we create a one weakness, we're gonna say, you know what, I think your net is just broken everywhere, and I'm gonna try to kill one of you guys, and this will make your game level up, right? You will definitely your ranks can definitely go higher if you play this way with this mindset, right? I'm not when you're invading, you could be the one attacking as well, right? Always remember that there's not no such a thing as you're the one. You should be the one running all the time. So after this cut, there's obviously a problem. White is gonna capture the stone, right, at J15 next. And this cannot be allowed, obviously. So what black is gonna do is black is gonna pull the stone back. And now this is time for reading, right? If you don't read very well, that's gonna be a problem. Let's say you just say, "Hey, I'm gonna get out." Well, okay. So black will just get out like this. It looks ugly, but technically this works, and this is what's problematic. So now this is very difficult, right? Like if you play out like this. So this is just not so easy for white. If you play out like this, the middle is already killed. So even I think even like this, this is even like this is this unclear fight. The problem with black white playing like this is black center is actually quite strong right now. So even if white can actually get out, but not really, what black can follow up the attack with this knight's move, and then our bottom side is gonna get hurt. So really, there's a lot of way to break out, but it's really about how well you do it, right? How efficient you actually break out. So K13 might be an okay move, but it's not the most simple and clear move. The most simple and clear move is to actually push and J14. And now we can see two things. One, there's a ladder. The other one, there's a way to kill the two stones here. Not to say that this is white sente, right? Like if you think about it, I can play this one first, and then I push here, right? This still will be a lot clearer as to what is going on the board, right? So a Miai, and then black immediately collapses, right? This is not even an even game. Well, white is just winning here. If black pulls this stone, we ladder this, and then that's game over, right? So, but if black jumps out, well, this is kind of game over too, because now white is alive, and also black has nothing. Black has no outside. Like white has these two guys. So as we can see, this is a perfect example that illustrates the importance of counterattack, right? Never neglect your opponent's weakness. Just because it looks really dangerous for white, just because we're about to die, it doesn't mean we should not counterattack. We should always think about counterattack, and that's probably the best way to defend for yourself. And at this point, probably black's best move is to just hop out and actually, just let white live here. Probably something like that, and white can live in a very, very decent way. So this is a lot better. This is a lot better than before, because not to say white can Atari first, and I'm not even sure if white can just live like this, right? So this even creates more problem for black. Black probably, yeah, black is very weak outside, and white is completely alive. So this is a lot better than just be scared and just say, hey, I'm gonna just assume that you're fine. I'm just gonna assume all these things don't exist. I just want to make myself alive, right? This is what happens in a lot of games. And you see after these exchanges, black really has no problems, and the rest of it is just white playing inefficient moves and get a gote. So huge difference, guys. It's very, very big difference. So that's pretty much what I want to talk about for this scenario. So let's just quickly recap how we went through the thought process. So first thing, First principle, we try to find the best move. We try to find the best move that gives us the most options, right? Had we played this one, there's not much options. We pretty much have to live here, right? We pretty much have to play all these really bad moves to make ourselves alive. It's very passive, and likely you're not going to win the game with that. On the contrary, M17 is a lot better. So looking at the jump, it's looking at an extension over here. It's looking at potentially playing H6 and then creating more weaknesses. It also expands White's own eye space. Very good move, right? A lot better than H17. So against that, Black defends with H17, reduces White eye space. So White's still under a lot of pressure, obviously. So the principle 2, right? The method 2 is for us to attach to our opponent. We want to attach to our opponent. The reason is we want to exchange stones to help us live, right? If we just dance around by ourselves, that's not gonna work out, right? Like, the more you try to make eye space, the less likely it's gonna happen. So attaching to our opponent is an excellent way to treat your isolated group. When Black counterattacks, we can just cut Black off, and then Black will capture the stone. And now we can go ahead and start breaking out once we have exchanged the stones here, right? We have left a sente here. That's always our right. This is always a sente. And then we attach out. And here the most intelligent way for Black to play is to actually not to go into a fight, to extend and let White get out, and then Black will jump out and later on try to put pressure on this guys and also put pressure on these guys. So that's probably the most reasonable way for Black to play. But the important thing is, what if our opponent plays aggressive? What if our opponent does not play reasonable? Well, if he does not play reasonable, very important, as I pointed out, is for you to not be passive, and that's our principle 3, for you to counterattack all the time, right? So we need to counterattack here. So number 1, we create a cutting point. Number 2, we create another cutting point, and Black is collapsing immediately, right? If you play this one, White will follow up, and then we have a Miai situation. This is not hard to read. This is actually very simple, right? There's no good ways, right? If Black struggles with this move, it doesn't really help. There's still a ladder. When you get out, there's still a ladder. There's still this is still game over, right? And obviously, when you defend the ladder, there's still this, and that's also kind of game over. So yeah, very simple, right? It looked like we're about to die, but actually it's Black who's about to die, right? Very important principle to follow in your game. No matter how dangerous the situation looks like, we should always examine our opponent's weakness. All right, so that's pretty much the content for today. Before we head out, I will also just quickly go through a game that I've seen today with my student, right? He asked me, well, what do you think of this game? And what do you think of my invasions? And I looked at it, I was really proud of what he has played. So let's look at the actual game. So my student was playing as White, and how do we invade a Moyo like this? And in the game, my student decides to play a move that I talked about, a move that I've talked about in my invader video, is to attach it at R3. Here, Black should probably have played S5. This is a knowledge that I have presented in my invader series. You guys can go ahead and watch the branch variation. I'll just briefly say that you can, as White, you should probably play out like this. And and then this is better because even if there's something going on in the corner, um, black is able to focus on what's important, which is keep working on the big moyo. In the actual game, I don't like black's response. In the actual game, black played the tiger's mouth. White plays r5. This is all the things I've taught. Very good moves. And then next move is to play q8. Very nice move, right? One, it's looking at the attach here. The other thing, it's very easy for this stone to jump towards the center. So this is an excellent move. Black plays as a small knight. This is also excellent. And then white hops at f8, right? This is a little bit problematic. I think a better move is for us to stick to our opponent. This is a principle that I've talked about today, right? So very important for you to stick to your opponent. If your opponent just, if your opponent just plays like this, as we can see, our eye space is very big here. Whenever we play this, we got some eye space. But now white can just play o6, and white is out, right? Very comfortable, very nice group, right? Next, white can attach here to make a shape. White can kosumi here to look at potentially attach. So white's group is a very nice group, and then the invasion would be very successful. In the actual game, my student decided to actually jump on the second line. The problem with this move is that it doesn't secure any eye space here, right? Whenever black jumps in, there's no eye space here. So why play a move that doesn't generate eye space? Black's next move, I believe, is to actually kosumi here. This is a very nice move, right? It looks at the weakness. It's also squeezing white. White crawls and then play another move at o7. So overall, I think this invasion has been okay. I would give it a 90% grade on this invasion. I was very happy with it. Especially with this idea of attaching at 3-3, right? The only imperfection was really this was really this move, right? White should definitely have stick to our opponent and make sure that we can exchange moves to get ourselves safe instead of just dancing by himself. This is usually not a great idea. But overall, I think this way of playing is okay. This is obviously later on there's some weaknesses here, but I think overall white has played pretty well. The group is out, and we didn't really hurt anything. Black is not really any stronger. The only problem is that black can later on hop in here. And this is going to create problems for white. So yeah, so this is something I also would like to share with you guys. It's a very nice invasion example for one of my viewers, also happened to be my student. That he used the knowledge that I have presented, as attach and clamp. Very nice. And then next move is to play q8. This is a very nice idea to invade a formation like this, right? This happens a lot in our games, and you can play the same. All right, so this has been a very long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching. Talk to you guys next time.